Good morning, friends. We finished last Sunday in our series on the person and work of the Holy Spirit called Alive in the Spirit. And we talked about from Romans 8, this idea, this truth called the spirit of adoption, that is that you and I have received a spirit of adoption. We've been adopted into God's very own family, and now we get to call him Abba Papa. And that is a privilege that each one of us get to have, but I think it's actually fairly difficult to own over a period of time. And Paul is saying something very profound when he's revealing that in Romans 8, that this is not a kind of relationship that most people have with their dads. And I remember for me, as I started to try to embrace this idea that God was my very own father and that I have this family kind of and even intimate sort of relationship with him, I thought, gosh, my earthly dad is not a guy that I want a kind of relationship with that is. My dad wasn't a safe person for me. And so what I want to do today is at least talk a little bit about how is it that you begin to move toward God in that way when you have so much pollution from perhaps a difficult relationship with your earthly dad. For me, one of the keys was to forgive my dad. And that was a large part of moving toward God, was to get rid of this blockage of the bitterness and the unforgiveness that I had toward my dad. I had to forgive him. And for me, it was I've talked about this before, but it was a rather giant experience of letting these things go with my dad. And it was a layered process as well. I had one, kind of initiating process where I forgave dad. It took 3 hours to do it. I needed somebody to help me do that. And then over that next year, the Lord took me 6 or 7 more times through other layers of things that I needed to be able to forgive dad for. And I needed to get rid of that blockage before I was able to actually enter into more fully that God was wanting that kind of intimate relationship with me of a father and a son, a father and a child. And so I want to challenge you today. Do you have anything against your earthly dad that you need to forgive? That's going to be a start in moving you toward this Abba relationship with the Father in heaven that is yours. Thanks so much for joining me. That's where we'll start this week. God bless you.